When Kiawe came to himself a little, he was aware it was the night when the band played at the hotel. Thither he went, because he feared to be alone, and there, among happy faces, walked to and fro, and heard the tunes go up and down, and saw Berger beat the measure. And all the while he heard the flames crackle, and saw the red fire burning in the bottomless pit. Of a sudden the band played Hiki Au Au. That was a song that he had sung with Kokua. And at the strain, courage returned to him. It is done now, he thought, and once more let me take the good along with the evil. So it befell that he returned to Hawaii by the first steamer, and as soon as it could be managed, he was wedded to Kokua, and carried her up the mountainside to the bright house. Now it was so with these two that when they were together, Kiawe's heart was stilled. But so soon as he was alone, he fell into a brooding horror, and heard the flames crackle, and saw the red fire burn in the bottomless pit. The girl indeed had come to him wholly. Her heart leapt in her side at sight of him. Her hand clung to his, and she was so fashioned from the hair upon her head to the nails upon her toes that none could see her without joy. She was pleasant in her nature. She had the good word always. Full of song she was, and went to and fro in the bright house, the brightest thing in its 3 stories, carolling like the birds. And Kiawe beheld and heard her with delight, and then must shrink upon one side, and weep and groan, to think upon the price that he had paid for her. And then he must dry his eyes and wash his face, and go and sit with her on the broad balconies, joining in her songs, and with a sick spirit answering her smiles. There came a day when her feet began to be heavy and her songs more rare. And now it was not Kiawe only that would weep apart, but each would sunder from the other and sit in opposite balconies, with the whole width of the bright house betwixt. Kiawe was so sunk in his despair, he scarce observed the change, and was only glad he had more hours to sit alone and brood upon his destiny, and was not so frequently condemned to pull a smiling face on a sick heart. But one day, coming softly through the house, he heard the sound of a child sobbing, and there was Kokua, rolling her face upon the balcony floor and weeping like the lost. "You do well to weep in this house, Kokua," he said, "and yet I would give the head of my body that you, at least, might have been happy." "Happy?" she cried. "Kiawe, when you lived alone in your bright house, you were the word of the island for a happy man. Laughter and song were in your mouth, and your face was as bright as the sunrise. Then you wedded poor Kokua, and the good God knows what is amiss in her, but from that day you have not smiled." "Oh," she cried, "what ails me? I thought I was pretty, and I knew I loved him. What ails me that I throw this cloud upon my husband?" "Poor Kokua," said Kiawe. He sat down by her side and sought to take her hand, but that she plucked it away. "Poor Kokua," he said again, "my poor child, my pretty. And I had thought all this while to spare you. Well, you shall know all. Then at least you will pity poor Kiawe. Then you will understand how much he loved you in the past, that he dared hell for your possession, and how much he loves you still, the poor condemned one, that he can yet call up a smile when he beholds you." With that he told her all, even from the beginning. "You have done this for me," she cried. "Oh well, then what do I care?" And she clasped and wept upon him. "My child," said Kiawe, "and yet when I consider of the fire of hell, I do care a good deal." "Never tell me," said she. "No man can be lost because he loved Kokua and no other fault. I tell you, Kiawe, I shall save you with these hands, or perish in your company." "What? You loved me and gave your soul, and you think I will not die to save you in return. Oh, my dear, you might die 100 times, and what difference would that make, he cried, except to leave me lonely till the time comes of my damnation. You know nothing, said she. I was educated in a school in Honolulu. I am no common girl, and I tell you I shall save my lover. What is this you say about a cent? But all the world is not American. In England they have a piece they call a farthing, which is about half a cent. Ah, sorrow, she cried, that makes it scarcely better, for the buyer must be lost, and we shall find none so brave as my Kiawe. But then there is France. They have a small coin there, which they call a centime, and they go 5 to the cent, or thereabout. We could not do better. Come, Kiawe, let us go to the French islands. Let us go to Tahiti, as fast as ships can bear us. There we have 4 centimes, 3 centimes, 2 centimes, 1 centime, 4 possible sails to come and go on, and 2 of us to push the bargain. Come, my Kiawe, kiss me and banish care. Kokua will defend you. Gift of God, he cried. I cannot think that God will punish me for desiring aught so good. Be it as you will, then, take me where you please. I put my life and my salvation in your hands. Early the next day, Kokua was about her preparations. She took Kiawe's chest that he went with sailoring, and first she put the bottle in a corner, and then packed it with the richest of their clothes and the bravest of the knick-knacks in the house. For, said she, we must seem to be rich folks, or who will believe in this bottle? All the time of her preparations, she was as gay as a bird. Only when she looked upon Kiawe, the tears would spring in her eye, and she must run and kiss him. As for Kiawe, a weight was off his soul. Now that he had his secret shared, and some hope in front of him, he seemed like a new man. His feet went lightly on the earth, and his breath was good to him again. Yet was terror still at his elbow, and ever and again, as the wind blows out a taper, hope died in him, and he saw the flames toss and the red fire burn in hell. It was given out in the country they were gone pleasuring to the States, which was thought a strange thing, and yet none so strange as the truth, if any could have guessed it. So they went to Honolulu in the hall, and thence in the Umatilla to San Francisco with a crowd of haoles, and at San Francisco took their passage by the mail brigantine, the tropic bird, for Papeete, the chief place of the French in the South Islands. Thither they came, after a pleasant voyage, on a fair day of the trade wind, and saw the reef with the surf breaking, and Motuiti with its palms, and the schooner riding withinside, and the white houses of the town, low down along the shore among green trees, and overhead the mountains and the clouds of Tahiti, the wise island. It was judged the most wise to hire a house, which they did accordingly, opposite the British consuls, to make a great parade of money, and themselves conspicuous with carriages and horses. This it was very easy to do, so long as they had the bottle in their possession, for Kokua was more bold than Kiawe, and whenever she had a mind, called on the imp for $20 or $100. At this rate they soon grew to be remarked in the town, and the strangers from Hawaii, their riding and their driving, their fine holokus and their rich lace of Kokua, became the matter of much talk. They got on well after the first with the Tahitian language, which is indeed like the Hawaiian, with a change of certain letters, and as soon as they had any freedom of speech, began to push the bottle. You are to consider it was not an easy subject to introduce. It was not easy to persuade people you were in earnest when you offered to sell them for 4 centimes the spring of health and riches inexhaustible. It was necessary, besides, to explain the dangers of the bottle, and either people disbelieved the whole thing and laughed, or they thought the more of the darker part, became overcast with gravity and drew away from Kiawe and Kokua, as from persons who had dealings with the devil. So far from gaining ground, these two began to find they were avoided in the town. The children ran away from them, screaming, a thing intolerable to Kokua. Catholics crossed themselves as they went by, and all persons began with one accord to disengage themselves from their advances. Depression fell upon their spirits. They would sit at night in their new house after a day's weariness and not exchange one word, or the silence would be broken by Kokua bursting suddenly into sobs. Sometimes they would pray together. Sometimes they would have the bottle out upon the floor and sit all evening, watching how the shadow hovered in the midst. At such times they would be afraid to go to rest. It was long ere slumber came to them, and if either dozed off, it would be to wake and find the other silently weeping in the dark, or perhaps to wake alone, the other having fled from the house and the neighbourhood of that bottle to pace under the bananas in the little garden, or to wander on the beach by moonlight. One night it was so when Kokua awoke, Kiawe was gone. She felt in the bed and his place was cold. Then fear fell upon her and she sat up in bed. A little moonshine filtered through the shutters. The room was bright and she could spy the bottle on the floor. Outside, it blew high. The great trees of the avenue cried aloud and the fallen leaves rattled in the veranda. In the midst of this, Kokua was aware of another sound. Whether of a beast or of a man she could scarce tell, but it was as sad as death and cut her to the soul. Softly she arose, set the door ajar and looked forth into the moonlit yard. There, under the bananas, lay Kiawe, his mouth in the dust, and as he lay, he moaned. It was Kokua's first thought to run forward and console him. A second potently withheld her. Kiawe had borne himself before his wife like a brave man. It became her little in the hour of weakness to intrude upon his shame. With the thought, she drew back into the house. Heaven, she thought, how careless have I been, how weak. It is he, not I, that stands in this eternal peril. It was he, not I, that took the curse upon his soul. It is for my sake and for the love of a creature of so little worth and such poor help that he now beholds so close to him the flames of hell. Aye, and smells the smoke of it, lying without there in the wind and moonlight. Am I so dull of spirit that never till now I have surmised my duty, or have I seen it before and turned aside? But now at least I take up my soul in both the hands of my affection. Now I say farewell to the white steps of heaven and the waiting faces of my friends. A love for a love, and let mine be equalled with Kiawe's. A soul for a soul, and be it mine to perish. She was a deft woman with her hands, and was soon apparelled. She took in her hands the change, the precious centimes they kept, ever at their side. For this coin is little used, and they had made provision at a government office. When she was forth in the avenue, clouds came on the wind, and the moon was blackened. The town slept, and she knew not whither to turn till she heard one coughing in the shadow of the trees. "Old man," said Kokua, "what do you hear abroad in the cold night?" The old man could scarce express himself for coughing, but she made out that he was old and poor and a stranger in the island. "Will you do me a service?" said Kokua. "As one stranger to another, and as an old man to a young woman, will you help a daughter of Hawaii?" "Ah," said the old man, "so you are the witch from the 8 islands, and even my old soul you seek to entangle. But I have heard of you, and defy your wickedness." "Sit down here," said Kokua, "and let me tell you a tale." And she told him the story of Kiawe from the beginning to the end. "And now," said she, "I am his wife, whom he bought with his soul's welfare. And what should I do? If I went to him myself and offered to buy it, he would refuse. But if you go, he will sell it eagerly. I will await you here. You will buy it for 4 centimes, and I will buy it again for 3. And the Lord strengthen a poor girl. If you meant falsely, said the old man, I think God would strike you dead. He would, cried Kukua. Be sure he would. I could not be so treacherous. God would not suffer it. Give me the 4 centimes and await me here, said the old man. Now when Kukua stood alone in the street, her spirit died. The wind roared in the trees, and it seemed to her the rushing of the flames of hell. The shadows tossed in the light of the street lamp, and they seemed to her the snatching hands of evil ones. If she had had the strength, she must have run away, and if she had had the breath, she must have screamed aloud. But in truth, she could do neither, and stood and trembled in the avenue like an affrighted child. Then she saw the old man returning, and he had the bottle in his hand. I have done your bidding, said he. I left your husband weeping like a child. Tonight he will sleep easy. And he held the bottle forth. Before you give it me, Kukua panted, take the good with the evil. Ask to be delivered from your cough. I am an old man, replied the other, and too near the gate of the grave to take a favour from the devil. But what is this? Why do you not take the bottle? Do you hesitate? Not hesitate, cried Kukua. I am only weak. Give me a moment. It is my hand resists, my flesh shrinks back from the accursed thing. 1 moment only. The old man looked upon Kukua kindly. Poor child, said he, you fear. Your soul misgives you. Well, let me keep it. I am old and can never more be happy in this world, and as for the next, give it me, gasped Kukua. There is your money. Do you think I am so base as that? Give me the bottle. God bless you, child, said the old man. If you're enjoying these readings, please consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help a lot. And thank you. And the story continues in the next part.